If the public is satisfied that the manual count is the same as the automated count, the printout and manually prepared election returns shall be signed off by the witnesses. The machine shall then be sealed without any connection to transmission links. The public shall be allowed to secure the polling places where the counting machines are installed. And the only time that the counting machine shall be open is on election day in the presence of watchers. The idea here is to simulate the actual situation in the polling center, polling places. As previous elections, we start at 7 o'clock, but we do not end at 3, but we end at 6 p.m. So voting is from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. At 6 p.m., the precinct closes. However, if there are voters still waiting in queue to vote, the PI will then write down their names, and the poll clerk shall then call the voter to cast his vote. If the voter is not present after being called twice, he shall not be allowed to vote anymore. The precinct setup is that at least 10 voters can be allowed to cast their ballot at any one time. This can be made to 15 or 20, depending on the situation on the ground. Because there are some polling place precincts or classrooms that are big, some are small. We are instituting some modifications to this, meaning to say, as before, instead of having 5 precincts, we will cluster them into one. So we have, in some cases, excess classrooms. So those excess classrooms can then be used as waiting rooms or queuing areas to facilitate a more efficient manner of voting. Voting. Before voting starts, the ballot box shall be shown to the public and it should be empty. The ballot box is transparent. The ballot box is located it's below the PCOS. The BI turns on the machines and initializes the PCOS. It prints out the zero report. The zero report is to show that there is no entry or vote in the machine's memory. This is how the initialization report will look like. I'll give it. So the PCOS, the initialization report shows the PCOS ID, the precinct, the number of registered voters, statistical data, number of voters voted, ballots counted, it's all zero. In the zero initialization report, all candidates must have a zero to his name. They should not have even one vote. On the bottom of the initialization report is an area where the members of BI affix their thumb mark and signature. At the end of the voting, the PBA performs a close function. The close function is to prevent additional ballots from being inserted. After the close function, the PCOS automatically starts the counting process. By the way, before I forget, each PCOS has an individual key. There's no master key or skeleton key. Each precinct is assigned a separate and distinct key. So the key for precinct 1 cannot be used for another precinct in another barangay. Separate. Again, after the closing of the polls, when the PI initially starts the close function, the machine starts the counting process and it prints out election returns after the completion of the automated count. It's 8 copies. Going back to the voting, when the voter inserts the ballot into the machine, what happens is that the ballot is scanned on both sides and there's a digital image stored in the memory of the machine. So at the end of the count, at the end of the voting, when counting is started, all the machine does, it consolidates all the votes and prints out the election return right away. This is how it will look like. Closer view. So in this precinct, there are 2 voters who voted. 8 copies of the election returns, the BEI inserts a transmission cable. The reason here is that it's to eliminate any doubts that the PCOS can be manipulated remotely. So,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but before you reach that, before we overlook this, a lot of people are concerned that there would be ballots where the voters did not show up. And normally this would be a good percentage, maybe 20%, 15%, which would be very crucial in a close election, whether local or national. They're concerned that this might be voted by those who have control of the ballots. How can this be prevented? Because they can just insert it and the vote, they can be filled in and then inserted into the machine and read. So how can that, is that possible or can that be prevented?
what we discussed with the Commission is that in this respect, this is where civil society and other stakeholders in the electoral process must take a more proactive participation in the electoral process. Meaning to say, we have enough safeguards to allow watchers to be part of the process. And on election day, there will be enough space for watchers to observe. The idea there is that the PCOS machine should be in the middle of the polling center, no, the precinct, the classroom. By being more involved in the electoral process, everyone has now a say in ensuring that this will not happen.
In other words, in the old system, there's such a thing as stuffing of ballots into the ballot box by those who are with control of the ballot boxes, whether before or during. In other words, what you're saying is that if the group there can be manipulated through whatever means, either by terror or by money or by sleight of hand, are you saying that it's still possible to insert a ballot filled in by someone who's not the legitimate voter? Isn't there some kind of an override where you have a tally number of actual voters who registered to vote, but then if there's if the number is not reconciled with the actual number of ballots that were inserted into the machine, what's going to happen there?